All right, race fans, we're back. Another full week of racing action. A lot of rainouts in the Northland, but there's a lot of racing going on throughout the country. A lot of drama. We'll get into some of that on the national scene. Got some national championship trivia here. And we got our studs, duds, you name it. We got all kinds of good stuff. Episode 267. As always, your host, Brian Aho here. And we got our former Pure Stock national champion. We got Jimmy Two Dogs Changa McClellan there. If you know, you know. Let's just put it that way. You'll have to watch one of the last episodes and just pay attention to Changa's screen. Got a couple dogs. They like to have fun too. All right, we'll just leave it at that. And we got Eastern Wisconsin's Bert Laker here.
$6.99 a month. You can watch that crap.
Yeah, we got racing action, doggy porn. I mean, all kinds of, and not people doing doggy porn. We got Changa's animals in the background. All kinds of crazy stuff here on the One to Go show. Again, if you know, you know. Shout out to Curtis for catching that. I don't know what Curtis is paying attention. I think most people listen to the show, right? But evidently, Curtis watches the show. Hey, we appreciate that. We appreciate that, right?
And he's paying attention. He might have a thing for us.
Well, and I was just going to say, what does that? I'm not sure if you should be bragging about. You notice that,
right? He might have, he's not earned the nickname that we've given him in the past this year.
No, yeah, we called him Rain Man there for a while, back-to-back champions. So
we might have to change it up. I sense a new nickname, maybe Doggy Style.
Yeah, we have come up with something here. Well, that's valid. We'll have to think of something. So, episode 267, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Impact Health Sharing. And so, if you're an individual that pays for your own health insurance, you got a family, you're a couple. If you have a business, maybe you got employees. If you paid for health insurance in any of those realms each and every month, and you're looking at your bottom line going, holy crap, I'm spending too much money and I can't even go to doctors I want to go to. Lots of different variables out there. Hit me up. I might have an alternative for you. It's called Impact Health Sharing. I've been able to save people thousands of dollars annually. It's been a great product throughout the country. You can go to any doctor, dental, vision. We're looking at very, very affordable deductibles and about half price of traditional insurance. So it's been a great product. Hit me up, 218-969-1380, or shoot me a message on Messenger. Get a hold of me any way you can. I'll get you a quick quote, see if we can help you out. So I tell you what, guys, a lot of racing. I was going to go to the races last week, and I thought about going down to LaSalle. I thought about going to Fairbury. I did not go to either one. Bert, did you make it to any races? I think everything rained out your direction, right?
I did not go to any races. I mean, Friday night, the 4th, Outagamie Speedway did race, but I went to Wisconsin Timber Rattlers minor league baseball game instead.
Well, hey, at least you got out and did something. I worked on my car, not race car. I should be working on a race car. I was not. I did a brake job. I put on the wheel hubs in my car. That was my excitement over the 4th. That's what I did. Did you do anything fun and exciting over the 4th?
Who the hell taught you how to do that stuff?
Oh, my dad. My dad. I was pretty fortunate. I learned a lot from my dad, right, wrong, and indifferent. I learned some good stuff. I learned some stuff probably that mom says I shouldn't have learned from dad, right? But awesome. I learned a lot from dad. I was very fortunate in. You think back about racing, right? You look back at, all these people we know that things that come second nature, little stuff like setting the valves, setting toe, right? All that stuff. I learned all that. That was all second nature. I learned that from my dad, amongst other things about how to work on cars and work on other people's stuff and you name it. So shout out to my dad for that. So
I do. I knew Shawano Speedway was going to get rained out, excuse me, on Saturday night, so early afternoon on Saturday. I did go see the movie F1 in the movie theater, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I give it a thumbs up.
Okay. I will have to check that out. course, Changa and I, we can watch it. We got the hookups here. We can watch stuff in a lot of different ways. But going to the movie theater, man, I haven't been to one of those in a long time.
Well,
There's
movies like that where there's a lot of action or movies I really want to see. I like going to a theater because then you can see it on the big screen.
You know, the last movie I went to, it's actually not been that long. I went to Top Gun Maverick in the movie theater. That was really cool in the movie theater for sure. So, I want to. Hey, we got to give some well wishes here, Changa. You hear about Rick Reboard?
I didn't. In fact, when you sent the agenda, I was caught off guard by that because I did not hear about that.
Yeah, I was wondering why he wasn't racing, and well, it sounds like it's public knowledge because they announced it over the loudspeakers there at Proctor. But it sounds like he's got ALS. They diagnosed him with ALS. So, man, that's a tough deal. You know, our best wishes going to Rick. You know, he's been the Reboard family, of course, has been huge in dirt track racing throughout the Northland, and he's been a big part of that. So, shout out to Rick Reboard. You know, hopefully you can kind of get on the mend there. I don't know a lot about ALS. I know it's not a good deal, but you know, we're thinking about you. And Mark Fleischer, you know, the voice of, you know, he's at Proctor Speedways at Superior, is at Hibbing, right? And triple bypass Changa. So he was in the hospital, and it sounds like he got back home, which is great news. Great to hear. Mark does a great job up in the booth. Looking forward to hearing him back up there. One of the better announcers throughout Wissota Land, Mark Fleischer. So best wishes to both of them. I do we gotta start. We gotta go with a little drama right off the gate, right? And he ain't on here, right? Wait, I wish Coach was on here right now because I'd like to go face to face with him, right?
Right.
But a little bit of drama down at the Viking Speedway, high flying half mile down there. So everything rained out throughout the Northland, right? Paul Ripley goes down there, wins his heat by a mile, puts it to him, DQ'd post-race tech, body infraction. And ended up being spoiler fins, right? And I get it, right? A lot of people say, hey, a rule's a rule. It's in the freaking rule book. It's not complicated. You know what the rule is? You're disqualified. It's a rule. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I know that there's a lot of racetracks, a lot of tech guys everywhere, right? And it's like they pick and choose. One driver, they're like, you know, hey, it's not a huge deal. Take the shit off for the feature. You know, we're going to give you a warning. You know, some tracks, they do that. Some tracks do that for certain people, and some tracks don't. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Changa, on I mean, and don't get me wrong. I don't think a person going 4 hours down the Viking Speedway, you know, the traveler, that shouldn't give you special treatment, right? But in hindsight, if a guy's come to your track for the first time, or maybe he's been there once before, and he comes down there and they bring some people with, and in the heat race, something that trivial, do you think they should be like, look, hey, we're going to give you a warning on that, take it off for the feature, or do you think it's just warrants an automatic disqualification?
Oh, that's a sticky one, right? I mean, you know, by the rule book, you're allowed to have them right with a certain engine package, and then not without the other engine package. And my understanding is he had the proper engine package for being allowed to have that, and that engine maybe broke, or he took it out or something, put the other engine in, and just overlooked taking that back off the car. And you know, I guess by the rule you're technically illegal, but boy, that really sucks because it does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's a tough deal, and I get it. As long, okay, if in any track, right, as long as you do it the same for everybody, then so be it, right? That's all we're looking for. Consistency across the board. That's perfectly fine. And I'm not saying Viking doesn't. I'm not there every week, right? So if they do that for everybody else, if we see more DQs for body infractions, hey, so be it. That's fine. But you know, they do have a fix-it ticket this year, Changa. So they have a deal. They have forms that the promoters and tech officials can fill out. So let's say you have an infraction and you get a written warning. They have a deal that you can fill it out and send it to Wissota. It's a long, cumbersome process going in the right direction. I'm all for fix-it tickets on stuff that is trivial, that's not a speed infraction. Okay. But we're in 2025, Bert, right? So think about this. You guys ever used Google Docs? Or
Yes.
yeah, so So what if? So here's a solution. I got a solution, right? So anybody in Wissota, I know Pogo listens to this, right? So here's a solution. Set up a Google Docs account, right? And get all of the track promoters and all of the track tech guys, give them access to the Google Docs, right? And then each and every night, if there's a written warning, say it's a body infraction or something that is just trivial where you can give somebody a warning for it, enter it in to the Google Docs. It's a shared platform. And then let's say 3 weeks later, let's say they would have give Paul Ripley a warning for that and said, look, spoiler sides, you can't have that. That's illegal. We're going to give you a warning. You put that in the Google Docs, right? And then if they catch them again, like two weeks later, totally different track, they can pull up Google Docs and be like, okay, Paul Ripley, yep, he's already been warned for spoiler fins once before. Sorry, dude, you're disqualified. That is a very, very simple way to do this. So why not create a Google Docs deal for the warnings? So that way you don't have driver A getting the same warning 15 freaking times, right? Because let's face it, if you get a warning once, we're adults here, right? You get a warning one time, sorry, you're DQ'd next time. And I think that would be a quick, easy way to do it. And that's just a possible solution to the problem. So do you think that's something? I know certain promoters and certain track people could definitely pull that off. And we know there's some that maybe aren't so techy. They might need a little help with that. But every track has somebody that can help them with that process. I mean, for Christ's sakes, right? We all have every track's got my race pass people, right? So maybe my race pass, there's an idea, right? Maybe my race pass, maybe they could contact them because they use my race pass for everything. Maybe my race pass could have a system inside of my race pass that has a Google Docs type of deal for written warnings like that. That's something that my race pass could come up with. So maybe get a hold of Josh Holt on that, see if that's something that we can do looking forward. So I might maybe talk to Pogo about that. That's maybe a possible solution there, guys. So I want to give a shout out. Did you see Bert, when is the Hall of Fame at Shawano?
We're past it already. It was in June.
You are, and you mentioned who got inducted, right?
I did not. It was a
Bert. Do you remember offhand?
Yeah, Joe Haffercorn got inducted as a driver. Piece of trivia on him is he won the first ever IMC modified feature at Shawano Speedway. He's from Michigan, so Youper, there you go. And Jeff Teskey got inducted as a driver, and I'm sorry I forgot their names. Two people who have worked at the Speedway for a long time, as they checking wristbands. They got inducted. Oh, we lost Changa.
Yeah. So, incidentally, Changa definitely not one of the people that could make the technology work. He could not do that. I'm shocked that he figured out how to make Zoom work. So we'll get him back. We'll jump back to that just a second here. But they had the Hall of Fame class for Proctor Speedway. Now they just started this a couple years back. See if let me look in the. No, I wanted to look in the waiting room to see if Changa went in there. And what he's got going on there, Bert. Let me take a look here and make sure he didn't fire a text over. Did not. That's all right. So Proctor Speedway, they started the Hall of Fame there only a couple years back. And out of some of the tracks in the area, Proctor's been a long time running. That's a track that's been, in the Northland for a long time. Huge class. And they got some catching up to do. Because, the track's been there forever and ever and ever. So they're trying to get some people in there and try to get it built up, right? And some names that might ring a bell to you, okay? Jeff Hinkemeyer getting inducted in. Now, do you remember what number do you think Jeff Hinkemeyer was most noted for his success at the Proctor Speedway?
Well, I don't know about that, but was he number 4 at one time?
He was 4F, and then prior to that, he was number 13. And
Okay.
yeah, I remember him as a little kid as 13, and in my teenage years, he was 4F. But I'm telling you what, he was a bad MF, right? He was really, really good. Jamie Thomas, friend of ours, Brutus. Jamie actually been he was a board member for a bunch of years, still involved, gives out flyers, all the posters, spreads them out around town. Jamie Thomas, congratulations. Steve Fossum, Skip Meager. Now, Skip Meager is a longtime racer from back in the 70s and 80s. There's a racing business up there called Skip's Performance, and his son Mike Meager drove a late model and actually now helps out Daryl Nelson. So Skip Meager, definitely well deserving. Dave Gillette, he passed away this past year. A longtime racer. A guy that I raced against, very, very good in the super stocks, Scott Hipsher. He got inducted in. And then Don Ekstrom, and I wish Tonga was on here now, but I don't know what the heck he's got going on there, Bert. But Don Ekstrom, I remember when he graded the track at Proctor. God dang, that place was good, man. I'm telling you, it was that perfect blend of having a little bit up top, a little bit on the bottom, being able to roast the middle. And I tell you, he did a fantastic job. Peg Sweeney, Jerry O'Brien. Remember what was the old racing publication? Hawkeye Racing News was one. What was another racing paper, Bert? You would remember.
Well, Checkered Flag Racing News and Midwest Racing something or other. Midwest Racing News. Midwest Racing News.
Midwest Racing News. Yeah, so he actually was the guy. He sat down for years. He wrote many, 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 many articles, right? Many race recaps. He did that for many years. And then him and his wife, Joanne, actually were the ones that either sold the papers or handed them out. Don't remember exactly how that worked. Tom Essie, longtime racer, car owner, engine builder. Bert, do you remember who won the first Silver 1000 at the Proctor Speedway? Dave Biorgi.
I would have never got that.
Come on now, Bert. That is the granddaddy of all WISSOTA postseason specials is the Silver 1000. And then Barry Marlowe. You look to see if Changa is texting. Are you getting any texts from Changa there? I don't know what the heck he's got going on, Bert.
I don't think so. No, because my text will show up.
You're supposed to? Huh. Well, I guess we will get back here. All right. Well, we are Chongaless right now, Bert. So we're I guess maybe he's tending to the dogs again. I'm not really sure what he's got going on. So let's start with this. Let's go to our race of the week. So I got a couple in mind, but over the past week, there's a lot of racing. You watched some online. What race or event, or it could be either one, what particular race or event stuck out to you this past week and why?
I am actually going to go, and it's not for the reason that you think. I'm actually going to go with Sonoya with the Hunt the Front race. And I know there's a lot of controversy in that race, and we'll get to that in the show. But I just thought the racing action was pretty good. Normally down south, it's a one-laner and everybody fights for the bottom. But they were racing on the top, middle, bottom. It did get a little rough in the corners. The cars were hopping around a little bit. I think there's some late model drivers in Wisconsin who wouldn't have went out there and raced in those conditions. But I'm gonna go with that race and to see Jimmy Owens in victory lane again. I mean, not, again, I mean, he's actually doing pretty well in that Hunt the Front. He's leading the points and he's winning races.
And he's had a stretch here. I mean, he was good at the Dream. Didn't he start on the front row at the Dream? Or in the front couple? Didn't he win? He won a prelim or a heat race.
He won a heat race. Yeah, you're right. So he started towards the front, if not the front row.
Yep, he's been good. And Joseph Joyner, he's actually found some speed over the last month. He led a good chunk of that race and jumped the cushion with what was it, 3 laps to go, 4 laps to go. And That's all it took. You get a veteran like Jimmy Owens behind you, you make a mistake like that, bam, it's over. And he didn't look back. So Jimmy Owens leading the way, leading the points in the hunt the front. We'll talk more about Sonoya in just a little bit here. You haven't seen no text messages come across, I'm guessing, right?
Not from Changa.
Maybe fire him over a text. Wait, emergency. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't know what he's got going on. He jumped off quick, fast, in a hurry. So I don't know if one of his kids got into something. Let's look. Well, let's do this. Let's go. I'm gonna skip to some stuff that we talk about at the end, and then we'll come back to see if maybe he gets on. Unless you think we should maybe jump off here, pause it, and then jump back on. I mean, we don't. I guess we don't really need to. We can just keep on rolling.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
Yeah, he can just join in, and if there's anything he wants to add, if he's able to get back on, hopefully everything's okay. All right, so let's do this. So I'll go with my race of the week. I'm gonna go with the BC 39, the Brian Clausen Memorial. They had it at the dirt track at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, USAC National Midget Series. Did you watch that race?
I did not watch it.
Bert, you need to jump on Flow. You're a race fan. All classes, race fan. You got to jump on Flow, go back to that race, the BC 39, and watch that feature. Holy shit. All I could picture in my mind is watching a late model race, right? And hearing Ben Shelton go, "Are you not entertained?" Right? So it was absolute mayhem. I'm talking sliders, jumping wheels. I mean, high side, low side, crossover, driving over each other, you name it. And Justin Grant, Jacob Denny were battling for the lead with just a handful of laps to go. I'm talking, Bert, they're throwing haymaker sliders at each other, right? I mean, it is bonkers. Little tiny fifth mile bull ring. I mean, it was the classic USAC midget race, right? And from the bus, from 19th, after coming through a B main, old Cannonball McIntosh took advantage of him and drove off to victory. He's the first two-time winner of the BC 39. Of course, Brian Clausen was the guy that ran open wheel stuff for a pretty good amount of time, but died at a very young age. And they still have a memorial race for him. But that is on Flow. You can go back about a week or just under a week. It was last weekend, and it was absolute mayhem. Incredible racing. 4 nights this weekend of USAC midget action. I'm jacked to watch the USAC midgets. I want to give a honorable mention here to probably the best Hell Tour. I was talking to my buddy JR, right? And he's like, boy, the Hell Tour. He never watched the Hell Tour before. So Jay Tardy's never watched a Hell Tour before, right? And now he's watching.
Not a single race?
Not a single race. Yeah, nothing. And he's watched World of Outlaws and Lucas and all that, but, he didn't have dirt vision, so he just didn't watch it. And he's like, holy shit, that regional series has been phenomenal. If you had to think, Bert, was there any Hell Tour races? You watched all the Hell Tour races this past week, right?
Not all of them. I watched some of them.
Okay. The one that stuck out to me, Tyler Millwood at LaSalle. Tyler Millwood at LaSalle. That was his first Hell Tour win. He did it from 10th. And they got in a lot of traffic on a track that looked like it was going to be kind of latched, right? Jason Fager got himself boxed in behind lap cars, and Tyler Millwood roasted right around him through the middle and took the win. So pretty cool racing, a first-time winner in the Hell Tour. That was at LaSalle. All right, so let's just jump into it. Our studs and duds and from the past week. So I want to give a shout out here. Brad Parsons Soil and Ag Solution. So if you're in Western Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, if you're in farming, what are you looking to do? You're looking to make money. You're looking to be profitable. You're looking to have success in farming, right? Success is dollars. Well, what do you need to make success? You got to have higher yields. And you get the right stuff in those spray packages to get you better yields. That's going to get you what you need. Well, I don't know nothing about farming, Bert, but I do know this. Brad Parson does, and he's a longtime racer, for racers, by racers. Give Brad a call, 320-219-3542, and learn what he has to offer. He's got all the data points. He's got all the information you need. Why not give him a call and at least see what he has to say to see if he can help you out? So let's jump into the national scene from this past week. So let's go with your dud on the national scene from this past week.
My stud for the week, I'm going with Ryan Gustin. His last 5 races, he's finished second, fourth, sixth, and seventh. And this past weekend were the 2 seconds at Deer Creek. He seems to run very well at Deer Creek, and it's too bad that Saturday night got rained out.
Yeah, where did he start in that one? He started.
Yeah, he started way in the back. Yeah, something happened. He had to start way in the back, and he got up to second.
It was massively impressive. Well, we got Changa back with us now, so hopefully everything's way good on his end.
You're like the wrong direction now.
No, you are the wrong direction. Yeah,
Well,
there you go.
Oh yeah, now it's the opposite direction I always do. I don't know. This is the way I usually hear it goes.
No Google Docs for Changa.
Yeah, no Google Docs. He's not the technology guy.
Oh no, it was I went right back to log back in and it wouldn't freaking let me. It asking me for an ID number that I didn't know.
It's my phone number, Changa.
Well, that would have been helpful to know.
Now you know. Oh boy! All right,
so missing child. We thought she got kidnapped.
Oh boy, where was she?
Her phone was listed as one place, and my wife drove to it. She wasn't there. The phone wasn't there. You know, big debacle.
Found her though.
Yeah. She was with Big Brother at the golf course.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Of course, nobody told anyone. So yeah, there was a meltdown happening there.
Kids don't communicate. See, this is what's different, right? From when we were kids, and Changa included, right? When we were kids. Today, in 2025, your kid's gone, you don't hear from your kid, it is straight up panic mode. Oh my God, right? When I was a little kid, it's like, get the hell out of the house. Don't be in here. And I could take my bike to town. I could be gone till midnight. My parents would like, he's fine. He's somewhere. He'll be back later, right? He's all right. That's not the case anymore. That is not the way it is in most places.
Actually, they're not even allowed to leave the freaking block. So if her phone says she's at some random freaking place a mile away, that's like, all right, that's fishy, you know?
Right. And that's just societal change, right? That's totally different. And I remember taking my bike, 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, and jump on my bike. And you know where my parents lived, riding my bike into town, go down to the rec, go over to my buddy Garver's house, play some some hockey in the tennis ball hockey in the alley, get back whenever I felt like getting back. So glad everything's okay, but things are definitely different now than they were then. So Changa, we talked about my race of the week. That was the BC 39. Kind of recap that a little bit. He talked about his race of the week. He talked about Sonoya. We did not get into the drama from Sonoya. He talked about his hot on the national scene. That was the Reaper, Ryan Gustin. Bert, why don't you go ahead and give us your dud on the national scene, and then we'll have Changa give us his race of the week.
For dud on the national scene, I'm going with Ashton Winger. His last 3 races, he's finished 18th, 22nd, 14th. He was involved in a wreck at Sonoya over the weekend, and typical Winger's fashion, he was not happy.
He's been known to be in a brawl or two also. Yeah, wasn't it him him and G.R. Smith got parted off in handcuffs out of, what was that, down at Southern Raceway or something down there, that them guys got themselves in trouble. So yeah, you're right. He's a little feisty too. All right, Changa, what was your race of the week?
I'm going to go night 1 at Deer Creek in the late model. That was a good race. And like I said, I'm frazzled right now. And I'm a little off my game. I'm not real prepared, but I'll get her back together once I get back into the hot knot.
And
all right, so what made it your race of the week? Who won? Give us just a little something from that.
Baby race. Jesus won. That's why it was good.
Oh,
Doesn't
Bobby
matter if he
Pierce.
won by an inch or 6 miles, as long as he won, it's my race of the week.
So I'm gonna pick on you, right?
Yep.
Because I know you're like the new Puka. All right, you're like the new Puka. If it's not like you're like baby Troy Powers, right? If it's
No,
not late
that's
models,
not
baby
true.
Troy Powers.
So not true. I sent you a stock car video today that was pretty freaking awesome from MTS, right?
You did. The best race of the night was the modified race on night number 1. Brandon Davis, right, coming from 82nd, 12th to win. That was a better, but overall to go for 50. Unfortunately, night 3 rained out, but fortunately we got in night 1 and night 2. But that was through the middle part of that race. It was really, really good, that late model race, and then Pierce dominated at the end. So jump onto the national scene here. We're gonna go. I already gave a shout out here to our buddy Brad. National scene. Give us your stud. Give us your dud.
Oh, my stud. I'm gonna quit picking on him for a little while. We'll go with Bishop, right? Won the won the first night. Well, you go back to last week. He won a Hell Tour race at Clarksville, and then he won the first Lucas race of the week at Atomic this last week, and then the second Lucas race at Muskingum, he was battling for the win, wound up third, brand new car. Seems to be working good for him, and he's got some newfound speed, and it appears anyhow. Of course, he plays this game with us for 2-3 nights once in a while, so it's not old news, but we'll see how it translates, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see how it sustains. Right? They got 3 nights of action in Lucas Oil this week. Who's your dud on the national scene?
I guess I'm gonna go with RTJ, right? He hasn't won since May 17th.
Are you shitting me?
No, he hasn't won since May 17th at Eagle Raceway. Um, I believe he hurt an engine the first night last week and got 16th, and then he kind of had a distant 4th at Muskie. So
I
yeah,
gotta be honest. That shocked me. That well done, because I never would have thought about the fact that he had a month of racing, over a month of racing, where he did not win a feature.
I mean we're
That's
close to 2 months.
Yeah, close to 2 months. He's got to be due. He's got to be due.
So
All right, on the national scene, well, I'm going to go with Brandon Davis. That's who I'm going to go with. 3 straight wins. This past weekend, and it wasn't USMTS mods no at the Go for 50. It might as well been. Everybody was there. It was basically the whole field. It was the Northern Lights USRA modified series, but he's got 3 straight wins, 6 straight podiums. Night 1. Now keep in mind, you got Chisholm, Sanders, both Chisholms, right? You got Mullins, you got all these guys there, 12th to 1st, and he just made them look silly. And then he won. Then he started on the pole the next night and just drove off into the sunset. Could somebody please, somebody, give this dude a ride, right? He builds his own cars. Just give him some backing. If there's anybody in modifieds right now that I want to see on the USMTS scene for 2026, it's Brandon Davis. Keep in mind, he builds his own cars. He's a smart cat. He's a hell of a good race car driver. He'd be fun to watch. On the dud list, and we're going to get into this next, I'm going to go Michael Page. Michael Page, speaking of Sonoya, this guy is an absolute clown. Donkey Award of the Week to Michael Page. He's a complete dumbass. So, in case you live under a rock, right? If you got Facebook, if you pay attention to late model stuff, you know what happened with Michael Page. Down at Sonoya, Hunt the Front, late model action. In the heat race, lap number 1, first corner, he throws a haymaker slider on Corey Hedgecock, stuffs him in the fence. Hedgecock backs up 3 spots, right? So, long story short, they get to the feature. Last lap of the feature, Hedgecock's in striking distance. Page is running 3rd. Hedgecock, full head of steam. He throws the death slide on, and he carves them all the way into the fence coming off of 4. I mean, it was straight up dirty. It was, you did it to me in the heat, I'm doing it to you in the feature. Turnabout is fair play, right? Well, what does Page do? He decides, well, I'm going to drive around the track, chase this guy down, weave in and out of traffic, turns him sideways, and people are like, oh, he tried to roll him over. Well, that's bullshit because he lifted, right? But he tipped him up on his side, and if he would have went just a titch further, he was going to roll over Hedgecock after the race. Completely uncalled for, right? And then they're parked, and then all hell breaks loose. They get out of the car, and Page gets out of the car, and he slips and falls, and Hedgecock does the Jimmy Superfly.
Actually,
Or
Paige
did
did
he get
not.
pulled?
He got pulled. I watched it on my
Okay.
phone, and I thought he slipped and fell. Last night I watched it on my TV, the bigger screen,
Yep.
and the official was pulling his foot, and that's why he went down.
Okay. It did look like that, and I watched it on my phone as well. So you're thank you for clarifying that. So he gets out of his car and he's gonna get up on top. Official apparently pulling him down, so he slips and falls. Hedgecock gets on top of his car, swan dives, tackles him. All hell breaks loose, right? Well, we're wondering what's going to happen, guys. We talked about this last week, right? So back to Paige for just a second. This guy gets, I mean, it's always something with him. He's in fights all the time. He gets caught cheating, tire doping, engine illegal crate motors. It's always something. He's talented. The guy's super fast, but holy shit, right? Keep it together. Like, what is wrong with this guy? Well, they levied, and Changa let me know, and I saw it about the same time. So Hunt the Front put a pub post out. You probably saw that by now too, Bert, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So Michael Page, for instigating the deal, he's getting $1,000 fine for fighting. He's getting $1,000 fine on top of that for his crew being out on the track and also fighting. Plus he got DQ'd in the race. That was a $1,900 paycheck that he had to forfeit right there. So you're looking at $3,900 in fines. On top of that, 30-day suspension from Hunt the Front and all WRG. So dirt car, World of Outlaws, everything, 30-day suspension and probation through 2025. Okay. Corey Hedgecock, on the other hand, got a $1,000 fine for fighting and probation for Hunt the Front and dirt car through 2025. No suspension. He's currently, I believe, second in Hunt the Front points. He did not get suspended. Right call, wrong call. Should they have both got suspended? Should neither of them got suspended? Your guys' thoughts.
Well, a couple of things. One thing that you didn't mention was what direct immediately after the race, when it looked like he was hunting for Corey Hedgecock. Apparently, they were yelling over the receiver, "Do not initiate contact. Do not initiate. You will be disqualified if you initiate contact." So that's why he got a stiffer penalty for starting the whole thing. Now, Dirt Racing Group, that's the same group that does World of Outlaws, right?
Yep.
Now, didn't Turbo get a 1-year suspension?
1 year.
And he didn't even barely made contact.
The difference is, though, right? The difference is,
People on the track.
Yeah.
well, no,
He peeled out, almost knocked over Bob Pierce, and
here's the difference. This happened at a Hunt the Front event.
Right.
This didn't happen at a World Racing Group event. The deal with Turbo happened at a World Racing Group event, of course, World of Outlaws. So they were able to levy the penalties because it happened at their event. So guy has to wonder, is Lucas Oil going to do the same? I don't know, right? Because World Racing Group, as far as I know, they're not tied in with Hunt the Front, are they? Hunt the Front's their own entity, I believe. So
yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm surprised that World Racing Group even got involved with this deal at all, right? I'm like, I figured they would have been like, that's a Hunt the Front deal, right? You handle it there. This wasn't a World Racing Group, unless I don't know something. Maybe there's some kind of a marriage there with World Racing Group, Hunt the Front. I don't know, right? But we talked about this last week. We need a little bit about this, right? We need a little bit of this, guys. On the video, if you go to Hunt the Front TV on Facebook, there's a video clip that says "Wild Finish at Sonoya." Guys, there's 387,000 views. 387,000 views. And earlier today, they posted, here's what led up to it. They're capitalizing on this whole deal. Hunt the Front is, right? They're like, hey, look at this clip. Look at this. Holy shit. How exciting, right? What a crazy finish. They're marketing this whole deal. And then on the flip side, they're like, yeah, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to levy penalties. Boy, what a two-sided coin, right? Because I don't know. I think we need a certain amount of this. And he turned him sideways. It was uncalled for, 100%. But don't tell me he used the car as a weapon. He slid the car sideways and tipped it up a little bit. Nobody's gonna get freaking hurt doing that.
Well, and part of the reason the car got tipped up is just the way it caught the inside concrete wall.
Yep.
I mean, if it doesn't catch a wall, it probably doesn't almost turn over.
Right.
I mean, I think Page has to be penalized somehow. I mean, I'm glad they didn't give him a year because
Right.
that would have been very excessive. And I'm glad Hedgecock didn't get a suspension because yeah, he did do the Jimmy Snuka off the top rope and and t- and took out Page, but if that official wouldn't have grabbed Page's foot, Page would have done it first.
Well, did you see that deal that happened at Port Royal a couple weeks ago, a week and a half ago, where the
I
guy
did
went around
not.
the guy went around the track the wrong way, and he
Oh yeah, yeah,
basically
yeah. Yes.
essentially what Turbo did to Bobby, but he went
Yep.
further. He drove up his nose, right?
Yep.
So that driver's name, Taylor Farling. I believe that was a crate late model. I
He
believe
gave his penalty today too, I think, or
he
yesterday.
did. He did. He got banned from Port Royal for all of 2025 and 2026. And 2026. And he can race 2027 after he pays a fine. Now, BAPS Motor Speedway up there, they posted a press release saying we're going to do the same thing. He's not allowed to race at our track either until 2027 there either. It's like, what are we talking about here? I mean, and I get it. We don't want a full-fledged, Bowman Gray Stadium shit every night, although that place is full every night, but it's a circus, right? That's not racing. We get it. But a year and a half suspension? Are you shitting me? What are we talking about, right? In that deal with Turbo, we go all the way back to that. That was complete bullshit, right? And I get it. The official was in there and the official fell over because the guy, there was a little bit more to this. What's that?
I said, in my mind, Turbo's deal was worse because he had Bob Pierce standing against the side of his car and then he peeled out and about knocked him over. And, there was people there, and he was
Well, what the fuck was Bob Pierce doing on the racetrack?
I was just going to say that. Why
and
was
that's why
Bob
he
Pierce
got
right
off
there?
at the time,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there was an official and Bob Pierce, and I think he knocked Bob Pierce down with the car.
No,
Yes.
no, the official got knocked down.
Was it?
Yeah. I believe it was I think it was Casey Schumann is who it was that got knocked down. He was a former director.
When there's people and not race cars, though. I mean, that's
right. But the fact of the matter is, people don't belong going on the racetrack. Right. And
well,
that's why Pierce got kicked off the track, right? Yeah, Pierce got black flagged, but a year suspension is that's penalizing the race fan, is what that's doing. You ain't penalizing the driver. You go race somewhere else or do something else. That's penalizing. And you look at this, the Page deal, Bert's exactly right. 30 days, I can live with that, right? I mean, this guy's been a menace. He's been a problem. He's been if it ain't one thing, it's another with this guy. But man, oh man. We talked about it last week. Do we need a certain amount of this? I mean, there's got to be a line, right? There's got to be a line, of course, but I think it was easily the most exciting part of racing last week, though. Wouldn't you agree? Most talked about for sure.
There was another pretty, a lot talked about deal that happened that same night.
At Sonoya. Yeah. So yeah, the car going over the wall. You saw the videos on that, right, Bert?
Yes.
So yeah, I don't remember what driver, but coming off at turn 4. Now keep in mind, so this is an example of what happens when they build walls all the way around the racetrack and they decide they want to put more banking, then they put more banking and all the walls are really short, right? And coming off turn 4, that car went over the wall, through the fence, and hit 3 people. One got treated at the track, 2 went to the hospital. Both of them are out of the hospital, it sounds like, so that's good. But holy shit. I mean, as a race fan, or how many times have we heard at the track, stay away from the fence, don't stand by the fence, get away from the fence, right? That's why. That's why right there, because that is very fortunate that didn't end up in death, is what that is. So that Sonoya was an absolute shit show, but Michael Page easily my dud of the week, easily in the national scene.
Long story short.
Yeah, speaking of national scene, just a quick. So Sheppy and Huddy won. So Sheppy won at Atomic. Huddy won at Muskegon last week. Pierce won night one at the Gopher, and Hoffman won night two. But another thing happened. Jonathan Davenport got second. Now remember, he took the point lead at Atomic because RTJ, I think, hurt a motor. He did. He blew up, and Jonathan Davenport took the point lead. Top four and Lucas go to the chase. Well, the very next night, Jonathan Davenport gets second, so he should have extended the point lead, right? DQ'd in post-race tech for droop roll. Okay, now, Bert, did you see what happened here? Did you hear about this?
I watched Davenport's interview, and I don't know all the technicalities of what these chains do and the bolts and all of that stuff. But basically, a bolt in one of the chains wasn't fastened and it backed out. Is that
No.
okay?
No. So okay, so the rule is how it works. You roll across the flat surface, right? And then they jack up under the left rear of the car. And when the left rear tire comes off, right, they measure the deck height, and it can only be a certain height. That's what the droop is, left rear drop, okay? Now, when they jacked his up, so I don't remember what exactly the number is, right? I'm not even going to make up a number. Whatever the number is, when they jacked his up, it didn't even get that high. It was like a half inch or so lower than that. So he was legal as far as the droop goes, but his chain still had slack in it. And the reason the chain had slack is on a quick change rear end housing, you got the bells that have the axle. So picture in your mind, Bert, looking at the back of a car, you got the axle tubes, you got the bells, the bolt to the center section, and they got long bolts. I don't know if they're 10 inches long, maybe, that go across there, 7/16 bolts. One of them broke, allegedly. This is according to what Davenport said. One of them broke, and they're long, and it slid out, and there's underslung on the left-hand side, and that bolt got hooked under the underslung. So when they jacked it up, it wouldn't go up any higher than that because the bolt was hitting the frame. Okay, that's a disadvantage. That's less droop. It doesn't say what is the limiting factor. If you jack up the left rear and it does not extend farther, now if you break a limiter and it goes an inch higher, hey, that's illegal. You got too much droop. He got disqualified for not having enough droop. What are we talking about here? So he does a video and he explains it, and you can tell he's a little grumpy, but he handled it well. And let me ask you this, two things. Number one, if he went on there and lit up the tech officials, that never works out good. You're going to have a target on your back. So that's called being smart, right? Number two, if that's $100,000 to win race, or if that is the Dirt Track World Championships and that costs him the Lucas Oil Championship, what kind of holy hell does he raise on that one?
Oh yeah, that'd be a different animal.
So did he make a mistake though? Because now you set a precedent by just kind of backing off and being like, you do whatever you got to do. And now you got tech guys doing dumb shit, DQing you for, allegedly, this is based on his word, right? Assuming everything he said, Tonga, should he have been disqualified for that?
Well, I believe in the rule book, part of the wording says that the chain does need to be tight.
Full droop.
At full droop, the chain needs to be tight. But the way I understand it is the bolt wasn't under the bar, it was above it, which didn't allow the housing to come down all the way. You know, obviously the bolt and the bell is out and it's above the underslung bar.
Yeah, above the underslung. Correct.
So,
yes.
You know, obviously that's no intentional cheating. That's broken parts, and it's different than a limiter breaking. It's even if the bolt falls all the way out, that car passes droop. You know, so yeah, I mean it's pretty ticky tacky in my mind, and yeah, I'd be pissed if it was me, and I probably would have bitched, but. You know, and I'm saying, you know, hey, let's be honest. He might not have bitched in the media, but who knows what the hell happened in the tech shed, you know, or you know, down there.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. They always say light the person up in private, right? Praise them in public, light them up in private. Let that be a lesson, though. Drivers out there that are watching this, if you get a raw deal, it's going to happen, right? Sometimes if it's something that's just meaningless or whatever, it's a night that don't matter. Sometimes if you handle your business, right? But when you go on Facebook and you start lighting people up, you're gonna put a target on your back. He handled that the best way possible. Unfortunate situation, did not cost him the championship. He's still well in good position to be locked in. So not a huge deal. All right. So
One thing too. Go ahead, Bert.
I was going to say, before we go on, I mean, talking about handling it, did you see Nick Hoffman's Victory Lane interview after he won the World of Outlaw race?
I did, but
It
go ahead.
was, I mean, normally drivers are all excited and stuff. I mean, he just got out of his car, really no celebration, put the Hoosier thing on, got his hat on, and, he was apologetic, but it's like, well, I don't know if it was really, my fault or not. I thought he could have used the brakes a little bit. And what I'm referring to is what, lap 2, lap 3.
Was it? Might have been lap 1. Was it lap
Might
1?
have been lap 1. It was early in the race, and he threw a slider on Bruning, and I mean, we've all seen sliders like that, and where a car goes across the nose. Normally, the car that's behind though doesn't spin out in front of the entire field, and it was a parking lot on the front stretch. Bobby Pierce was on his side. Luckily there was no fire because his driver's window was facing the track, and there was another car up against it, so he had to have crawled out of the passenger side.
Yeah, I don't know how he got out of that. I guess I didn't see if he went out
Relatively quick.
Yeah, he's not very big, right?
No.
He's stocky, but
Right.
he's let's just say Ryan Aho not crawling out the passenger side of that lane, right? That's just not happening. Now you did. If you looked on his Facebook page though, Hoffman posted a series of pictures of. Here's why I don't believe it was my fault. Bruning was sideways in the middle of the corner before he even got slid, right? And as he got slid, he got more sideways. So Hoffman basically said, "Hey, maybe I didn't leave him enough room." He handled it well, but then he jumped right on Facebook and was like, "Look, it wasn't my fault," right? So he was pretty adamant, and I believe that it wasn't his fault. I put that all on Bruning. I think Bruning just got a little high, got a little sideways. Shit happened. Maybe the air got taken off him. That could very well be. But it wasn't. That wasn't Hoffman's fault.
No,
but
I agree with you with that assessment.
Yeah. So that was a lot of crazy stuff happened in the national late model scene.
Oh, we're gonna go on from this national because we're going way long here. I guess I just had I had my hot and my not, and I told you who them are, but I guess I had, I did have a question. I said, after Huddy's been on this hot streak and he won again last week, Moran's in a cold streak. Huddy's cut his deficit from Moran down to like 60 points. So Bert, I'm gonna ask you first. Can Huddy catch Moran? And I already know your answer because it's the same every time, but tell it to me.
Anything's possible. Well, yeah, I mean, Huddy definitely has the talent to catch him, and I mean, he has the team to catch him. Moran's just had a lot of bad luck. I mean, I was watching that one of the races this week, and he tagged the wall and knocked his spoiler down, so he didn't even have a spoiler. It was laying flat. And MJ tried that one time. He said, "Let's try." And Andy go, "Let's lower the spoiler completely flat." He came back in and goes, "Never do that again."
They're going to the house of Huddy this weekend. So
Moran actually said before he tore the spoiler off, he had a rack failing on him, and something was wrong with the rack, and that was causing him troubles. So
there's a pretty good chance Huddy's going to pass him this week.
Could happen. Well, and
he
then
is really good at Wheatland.
Fast forward to that chase, right? I believe you get 10 bonus points for every win, right? Well, Moran's got 5 and Huddy's only got 3. So, finding your way to victory lane is going to be pretty key because now it's getting interesting.
Correct. And that's already factored into the points. That's already factored in. They don't add that later.
Oh, I see. I thought they added the win points once you got to the chase.
Oh, they might. Do they? Is that how they do it?
Once you get there, then you get for every win you get 10 points or something, and then you start the
Okay,
chase.
that could be. That could be. I guess I'm not
I
sure.
may be wrong. I believe that's what it is.
That would be good. I think they should do that. If
100%.
you're, yeah, I think that would be good. All right, so like you said, let's jump into the late models. We'll go Bert, we'll go Chonga, we'll go me. Regional, local late models. Who's your stud? Who's your dud?
Before I get that, we're recording this on Tuesday night, and the Slinger Nationals. I have the Brewer game on and the Slinger Nationals on. 152 laps to go. Ty Majeski started 12th, and he's up to second.
Okay. Who's
So,
leading, Bert? Who's leading?
Johnny Sauter.
Johnny Sauter. All
He's a
right, old veteran. Old veteran.
All right, Stud. He was my dud last week, but he won the only late model feature in Eastern Wisconsin this past week. Well, I should say non-crate late model feature, because TNT did have a crate late model feature, I believe, Saturday night. But Jaden Schmidt won the feature at Outagamie Speedway. Only 8 late models at Outagamie, but it was the 4th of July, so probably some teams just, wanted to spend the holiday with their family, or, going to fireworks or whatever. Dud of the week, I'm gonna go with Mike Mullen. He was at Outagamie. He did not finish the feature. He had posted on Facebook that actually his car owner posted, they took their Wasota in to get freshened, so they got the big motor in. And he said that doesn't work as well as the Wasota motor.
I saw that. He said, and I don't know what the restrictor plate rule is, but they feel like they're at a pretty big disadvantage in that area. I don't know. It's always something with them guys. It's always something. All right, Chonga, what do you got?
All right, so my stud this week, I'm gonna go with one of our local boys, Kevin Burdick. He went to Hibbing for the Ironman Invitational, got a 3rd place finish. And he went down to ABC Raceway in Ashland for that farm stock special. And I believe he won that one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he won that ABC Raceway. He went 16th to 12th at Gondik in a Challenge Series race, and he went 14th to 4th at Proctor. But anytime a local guy, wins one of them good car count races that pays a little extra money, it's good to see. So congrats, Kevin Burdick. You're my stud of the week. My dud, I'm gonna go with Dave Moss, right? Won top 5 in his last 5 races, and it was a 5th at ABC this last weekend. Let's see what else I got here with him. He got and then he had a 17th at Gondik, a 5th at ABC this week. So Dave Moss is my dud this week.
Yeah, he's right in the thick of things, right? Because in the Challenge Series points, Sobraski's got a 4-point lead over Provenzino. Bravo had a good run; he got 3rd, so that's a 4-point difference. And I think 14 points back is Dave Moss. He came into the deal, I believe, as a point leader, didn't he? I think he was a point leader coming into Superior this past week at the border battle, and he laid a big egg. That was not a good weekend for him. Few things happened here. I'm gonna kind of talk it out here. So we got Pat Dorr, who's been a dud all year long for the most part. He won the border battle, right? Kyle Peterlin, 3 for 3 at Proctor. So he's been good at Proctor. Ricky Weiss, doubling up at Dead Horse Creek Speedway at his new home track. We got Daryl Nelson, who won the Ironman, $5,000 to win, right? 9th to 5th at the border battle, had a little altercation there with 7A and got a flat. But I think I'm gonna give my stud of the week to Cade Nelson. And not every night was good, but he got 3. You gotta remember he's young, and 3 nights in the Wasota late model this weekend. Did you know what the Ironman kind of quietly he went from 16th to 8th and passed a few pretty good cars? He had a solid run up there on a track that was not real easy to pass on, to be honest. Rough night at Superior, but he rebounded and he led the majority of the feature. Got 2nd, Bert. His first podium in a Wasota late model, got 2nd over at Proctor, his home track. And the experience bit him, right? Because he got into lap traffic and he zigged when he should have zagged, and all hell broke loose, cost him the win, not getting through lap traffic. But just watching him, he's another Nelson. You can see it that he's got the talent. The car is fast. I don't think it's going to be too long before you see him win a big late model, Wissota late model race. I would predict that's going to happen sooner rather than later. So that is my stud of the week. Now, boy, I got two that could be duds. But I think I'm going to go Dave Flynn. Dave Flynn started out phenomenal, right? At Superior. Pair of wins. Was the other one maybe a second? I mean, he was unbelievable. And we talked about it. I think you picked him in the pick'ems up there. And it's like, he didn't make the feature. Bert, 2 wins in a second to the 3 nights at Superior. He doesn't make the feature at the border battle. That's a dud. Now, Changa, that reminds me of 2002. Remember, we had a really good year in the late model up in Hibbing. We were like in the top 3, 4 about every night. Go to the Labor Day shootout, don't make the feature. I get it. Been there, done that, right? So I guarantee he felt a little salty over that. He had to have been going into that race with a ton of confidence. And then I don't know if something happened in the heat that set him back. I don't know, but Dave Flynn, disappointing week for the 29F. All right, let's jump into the modifieds here. Give us your stud, give us your dud.
Stud, I'm gonna go with Cody. I think it's Schroeder. Hopefully not Schrader. But last week he finished 5th at Luxie Raceway, which raced on Thursday night last week, and then he finished 2nd at Outagamie Speedway in Seymour. So 2 top 5 finishes for him. He's kind of been off to a slow start this week, so it was a good week for him. And then dud is going to be Mike Whittlestadt. His last 3 finishes, DNF 21st, DNF 21st, and then an 11th place. So not a good week for him, but he's a veteran. He'll bounce back.
For sure. Changa, who do you got? Stud and dud in the modifieds.
All right, we'll go again. My stud in the modified is going to be Blake Adams. He had a pair of wins this week at Rice Lake and Greenbush. Got a pair of 5ths at Dead Horse Creek and Proctor. So he's going to be my stud of the week. My dud, I'm going to go with, and this one hurts me to do, but I'm going to go with Brandon Kopp, right? And he had a thrilling win while we were doing the show last week. Kind of put a little schooling on the 7A up in Thunder Bay, and he wasn't real nice in doing it, right?
Right side romance, baby.
100%, but since then he got a 6th at ABC, a 14th at Gondik, and a 9th at Proctor. So, I guess since our last show, I guess he's going to be my dud, and I'm hoping that it'll help turn him around, right?
Yeah, that I don't think he expected that because he had been on the top 2 or 3 for several straight nights. I got 2 here on the studs, and so I got to give an honorable mention to Bob Broking, back-to-back wins. And an impressive win, guys, at the border battle. Now, I've raced a lot of laps against Bob Broking, right? Bob Broking is not a guy that you normally accuse of having a whole lot of patience, okay? And Andy Don Ishins tracked him down, got inside of him, got by him, and I'm thinking in my head, oh, it's over now, right? He's going to overdrive it, and the next lap, he entered softer, backed his corner up, and drove by him like his shit was broken. They had a good race at the end. Patience, Bob, well done. That was a good race over at Superior Speedway. Normally not his best track, right? Normally that's not his place, but I'm going to give the stud of the week. I'm going to give the stud of the week to Andy Mackey. 2nd-year driver in the modifieds. He went to the Farm Stock Special stout field of modifieds up at the ABC Raceway in Ashland. He put it to him. He started in the front, but he killed him. He drove away. He was literally unchallenged. And I'm like, holy shit, he found some speed. He won a couple last year as a rookie. Backed that up at the border battle with a top 5 finish there. My stud of the week, Andy Mackey. My dud of the week, he remains there. I don't know that when you're coming off a national championship season, you're expected to perform at a high level the next year. And Cole Chernosky has not done that. He is having an absolute dumpster fire of a year in his modified right now. And right now, he is definitely on the struggle bus. My dud of the week in the modifieds, Cole Chernosky. Let's go to the super stocks, guys. What do we got?
I defer my time.
All right. Tonga?
All right, my stud of the week. I'm going to go 2 weeks in a row with Trevor Nelson. Guy's got 4 straight wins. He won at Miller Central this week, as well as his first ever trip to Redwood. So he's got 4 straight wins. So my stud is Trevor Nelson. Now I'm a little apprehensive on my dud because I know you picked this guy to win a race this week, so I don't know that I want to spark him too much. But let's go with Gordon Hinkemeyer, right? Yeah, he goes to Ashland, gets a DNS, didn't even start the B main, so and then he goes to Gaunt, gets a 6th. All right, pretty good field of cars there. Goes to Proctor, gets 7th. I'm like, oh my God, 14 cars and you're gonna get 7th. Oh, or there were actually probably a little more than 14, but yeah. So my dud of the week's gonna be Jordan Hinkemeyer, and I'm sure I'll spark him to give Aho 2 points this week. But
Thanks, buddy.
Mhm.
Hey, that's teamwork makes the dream work. I talked to old Jordo and I said, dude, what? First of all, are you going to Aberdeen? He goes, I got to find some speed. I got to figure out what the hell happened to my car. He texts me a little bit later. He goes, I found it. I think we're going to be okay. I'm like, perfect. I'm picking you.
It's fine.
Huh?
What did he find?
Lack of maintenance. Jam nut backed off on the screw jack back way out. All the bite went away.
Hmm.
That'll happen. It kind of reminds me of his dad, right? John Hinkemeyer, one of the best. I'm telling you what, John Hinkemeyer was a hell of a race car driver, guys. But holy shit, did his car fall apart a lot. I won my first ever Jamestown Stampede. I was half a straightaway behind the 1A of John Hinkemeyer, and his water pump literally fell off his motor, and I inherited the lead. So, all right, that's just kind of the way they roll, right? So I'm gonna go. So I got a couple here. Quick shout out, Eric Martini. Back-to-back wins this weekend. He won at Carey and won at Brainerd. I got to give a shout out here to the concession stand, Siskel and Ebert. Doug Koski, always telling us about his favorite racetrack food in his post. Kind of fun to watch him on Facebook. Pretty positive guy. Got a win up in Bemidji. But I'm going to go with my stud of the week, former pit guy for the 71A. Giamala, Andy Gramala, 9 races, super consistent. He's worst race all year has been 7th. He got 5th at the Farm Stock Special over in Ashland, 2nd at the Border Battle at Superior. Hell of a run there. And he's the point leader at the Gondikla Speedway right now. Tied, I believe, with Matt Daragon. But Andy Gramala, who halfway through last year kind of looked like maybe he wasn't going to race anymore. They decided to get a car again this year, and he's looked solid. That thing's rotating well, looks really, really good. So tip of the hat there to my buddy Andy Gramala. Keep up the good work, man. On the dud list, do I go veteran? Do I go rookie? Bert, do I go veteran? Do I go rookie? I'm not really sure which way to go here, right? So I might do both really quick. Chasten Poduds, different reasons. Chasten Finkbone. He's been good in everything he's been good in the Hornet. He's young, he's a kid, still in high school, right? He's won in pure stocks. 3rd his second night out, and boy, when he got 3rd that second night out, I'm like, boy, he's gonna be good. He's only had 1 top 5 since. He's Changa, our boy Chasten on the struggle bus. So we got to work some one-to-go show magic here.
Mm-hmm.
Not hot list, dud, Chasten Finkbone. Let's see if we can get it rolling. But the veteran, Dexton Cook, he did win one this past week. Okay. Again, coming off a national championship season. Bert, there's not a driver in Wissota that raced more nights. Sobrowski raced more because he runs 3 nights a night, 3 nights per night, right? But Dexton Cook traveled everywhere for like the last several years. He only raced 2 shows in the last 2 weeks. He's only got 2 races in the last 2 weeks. Is he giving up? Is he quitting? I mean, is he kind of throwing in the towel saying, I got 3 wins, 4 maybe 4 wins, struggle bus? I don't know. Dexton Cook is my dud of the week. He's got to get that 78 key rolling.
$1 that he's got at least 7.
Right now?
$1 that he's got at least 7 wins this year.
7 Wissota wins?
7 wins. Not counting heat, 7 feature wins.
7 Wissota feature wins?
7 feature wins.
7 Wissota feature wins?
I don't know about that. I'm just saying 7.
3 of them were in Arizona, Changa. 3 of them were in Arizona. So I'm not taking that bet. I already got the numbers down there. So before we move on to the Midwest Monzo, let's give a shout out to Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating up in Ashland, Wisconsin, home of the Galloper chassis. Chris and the gang, stand up people. They have done a ton for dirt track racing, including sponsoring the 71A. They sponsor the One to Go show. They sponsor the #1 series in all of Wissota racing, the Northland Superstock series. They service a lot of tracks, get any part you need, sandblasting, powder coating, fabricating, you name it. That's Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating up in Ashland, Wisconsin. All right, let's jump on over to the Midwest Mods, guys. Midwest Mods, sport mods perhaps in eastern Wisconsin. Bert, you're stud, you're dud in the sport mods.
All right, our Slinger update. It is raining in Slinger right now.
That's why we did the show. I knew it was going to rain, right? You ain't gonna miss nothing.
So, all right, sport mod. Stud. He stays on the list. Coy Vlies. He won at Luxembourg last Thursday. Finished second at Seymour. I would say he's probably. I mean, he's definitely one of. I would probably, if I had to pick one sport mod driver to be on my team, I would pick him right now in Eastern Wisconsin to be on my team. Dud, I'm gonna go with Cody Raz. He has 0 wins so far this year, and he had a second place finish 3 races ago, but since then he's finished 23rd and 24th. So not a very good week for him last week.
Yeah, needs a little bounce back. All right, Changa, Midwest Mods.
Well, oh god. So Midwest Mods, I guess I got to turn it around, right? So I put this guy on the dud list, in the last week or two. So I'm going to put him on the stud list. I'll go Joey Jensen. He actually raced this week, right? But
He's
interesting.
in Hibbing tonight too.
Yeah.
He's up in Hibbing.
Okay, so he actually raced this last week. He got second up in Hibbing, third went up to Thunder Bay, got third, got second at ABC at the farm stock, won at Gondiclaw Speedway at the border battle, and then won again at Proctor on Sunday. So Joey Jensen's my stud of the week. And then my dud of the week, I guess, and it pains me to do this, but I'm gonna go Blake Adams. Okay, right? So he goes, gets a 4th at Rice Lake, and that don't happen, right? Goes to Dead Horse Creek. Who's ever even heard of that place, right? Gets 4th. Goes to Greenbush, right? 7 cars, he got 8th. Okay. And then in Proctor, he was scared and didn't even take the thing out to play. He just left it in the pits.
He did not race the Midwest Mod in Proctor. He didn't even bring the Midwest Mod to Hibbing. He's up there with the A Mod tonight. Yeah, he's as long as he can remain the stud in the A Mod, I think that's okay.
Oh, that's fair enough. I mean, I just I want to see him race both cars every night and win every night, but it didn't work out in the B Mod this last week. And
yeah, you're not wrong. And Joey, by the way,
with it.
Joey not only won the B Mods at the border battle, he won the Supers too. He doubled up there. So he had a hell of a good week last week, of course. Joey and Tyler Vernon are kind of the 2 easiest, right, to have on the stud list. But I'm gonna go. Well, I got 2. I could go Jason Vandekamp, right? Because he 7 straight top 2s. He won up at Hibbing. Joey got second to him up at Hibbing last week. Surprise visit by Vandy up there. And then he won at Rice Lake. He won the Kyle Runkle Memorial, $2,323 to win. A nice special. So money on the line. Vandy wins. But bounce backs are good, right? Mario Berger's been good. And he had been on a tear. He got second at that 10 grand to win show, DQ'd for the bar angle deal out at Sheridan. Guys, nice rebound this past weekend. He doubled up out at Casper. Solid field of cars because they had specials out there at Casper, Wyoming. Likers were both there. Mario Berger, number 8 on the year this past weekend, doubling up at Casper, the stud of the week. The dud, going to stick out west. We're going to go with the Likers. when I think out west, right? When I think Sheridan, Gillette, right? Casper, when I think Wyoming, right? Midwest mods, it's literally, all right, you just write it down. Troy Liker or Tony Liker is your winner. It's kind of the way it works. Not anymore. There's a new sheriff in town. His name's Super Mario Burger. He's kind of raining on your parade out there. Likers, what are you doing? You ain't supposed to be letting some other dude come in, take your money. This is your playground. What are you doing? Right? You can't be, there's two of you. Like, you can't let them eat both of you every single night. What are we doing? So, the dud of the week out there going to be the Liker boys out in Wyoming in the Midwest mods. All right, let's jump into the street stocks. Bert or Stock?
I have 2 drivers for stud, and I don't have any duds. But street stock, I'm gonna go with Trey Van Stratton. He had 2 wins last week. He won at Luxie and at Outagamie. And then stock IMCA stock cars, the old Wiley veteran Rod Schnellenberger. He won a midweek special at Eagle River last week, and then he finished second at Luxie and second at Seymour. So a win in 2 seconds.
Solid. Got any duds?
No.
Okay, so Bert is our dud. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right, Changa, street stocks. Stud and dud.
You know, these 2 guys are on my list every freaking week, so it's no surprise. But this week, my stud's going to be Trey Hess. Okay, so 5 nights of racing last week. 3rd up at Thunder City Speedway, 3rd at Rice Lake, 5th at KRA. Then he wins at Greenbush and wins the 4-lap feature up in Bemidji that he started side by side on the front row with Colton Brower. So he's going to be my stud of the week. My dud is going to be Colton Brower, right? He raced 5 nights, didn't win nothing. We're probably never going to say that again the rest of the year unless rain makes it happen, right? And it's been a while, but he got 3rd. He got 2nd at Thunder City. What the heck? It's getting dark in my garage here. I'm filming from my garage. I think he got 8th at KRA, or no, yeah, 8th and a 6th at KRA. They had a doubleheader. He got 2nd at Madison, 2nd at Bemidji. So, I'm gonna give Colton Brower the dud of the week because he never goes a week without winning, right?
Well, if he races against my stud of the week, he ain't ever going to win again.
Oh,
My stud of the week is Keith Tourville.
yeah. Oh, there you go.
3 wins this week, guys. Double up at KRA. And like you mentioned, Colton Brower there both nights. Wasn't even on the podium, right? So 3 wins this week, 2 at KRA, 1 at Redwood. Okay. He's raced 13 shows this season. He's got 3 DNFs in those 13 shows. He got 1 DQ where he was on the podium, but he got DQ'd. I think it was seatbelts, where I think it was a date on seatbelts, I think is what it was. So other than the DQ, 9 wins. So if he finishes, he wins. He is undefeated. Brower's gone over to Redwood a couple times. Guess what? He don't go there anymore. He don't go there. You know why? Tourville's going to send him packing. Keith Tourville, that is a guy right there that if he ran 30-some shows, he would be the #1 contender with Brower right now for a natty. He ain't going to run enough shows. I just don't see it. But he's going to be one of the favorites coming up here for the Little Dream just a couple weeks away. Bert, knock knock.
I'm here. Who's there?
Owen.
Olin who?
Owen 15.
Oh, Owen.
Justin Vogel. Owen 15. Almost winning is not winning. He's got a lot of seconds, a lot of thirds. He's been there. It's not like he's been slow. Justin Vogel 0-15 to start the season. Said this last week. You're staying on the not hot list, right? You're staying on the dud. Halfway down the front straightaway, okay? In between turn 4, turn 1. You get halfway down on the parade lap, park your car, look to the left. You're going to see a thing, got a flat platform. It's called Victory Lane, okay? Remember how to get there. He knows how to get there when he sees his buddy win. He's down there. Congratulate him. Dude, you got to get your happy ass down there, win yourself. Justin Vogel, dud of the week. On Hood, so he's been dang good over the last decade in the street stock. The Little Dreams eluded him, right? Could he find Victory Lane at the Little Dream? Is that kind of how it works, right? All the years that you're really good, you don't win it. and then all of a sudden you're good, but you're not winning, and then you snag a win at that one. Maybe this is his year. I do want to mention Johnny Carter. So they have the Dakota Classic Bot Tour going on out west, out in, I guess, North Dakota and Canada. They opened up last week, Jamestown, and long day. Johnny Carter, he's good dude. I'm a big Johnny Carter fan, and got up 4 in the morning last. Well, it would have been Saturday. I don't know if you knew this, Bert, but got up at 4 in the morning because his wife said, "Honey, got to go to the hospital." Had his newborn kid. So congratulations, Johnny, on the newborn. Goes that night down to over to Jamestown. In fact, the wife says, "You ain't gonna stick around here with us. You got to go race. It's a home track. Go race Jamestown. Get her done." He wins night 1 of the Dakota Classic Mod Tour, DQ post race tech, illegal boosters on the carburetor, and he owned it, right? You know, he's like, "I got the same carburetor I ran last year at the Boone Nationals. Like, thought it was fine, but he's like, hey, my bad. I feel embarrassed, you know." And basically, Changa, you know, Bert, you're maybe not a carburetor guy, but you know the boosters that come out on the Holly 500s, the BLP carburetors, they make several different variations of a Holly 500. Well, they got their own boosters, right, for a certain Holly 500, and then they have what they call a W with a Wasota one, which is legal in IMCA. Turns out his boosters were too big. The sad thing about it is, last night in the Dakota Classic Mod Tour, Cowboy Up Sticky, that would have been a big advantage. It was a skating rink at Jamestown. I'm talking pedaling it, right? Dry slick. It didn't make him win. That's not why he won, but he owned it. He says, hey, my bad. I overlooked it. They were right. They showed me it was wrong. And he's another one of them professional guys that he isn't going to whine about, not going to cry about it. He's just going to move on. And good luck next time back out. Hopefully we see him this week, possibly at Mandan. So Johnny Carter. All right, let's get to the grassroots side of things. Bert, you got anything on the grassroots side of things?
No, I am going to defer to you guys.
Okay. Changa, hot or stud and dud, hot and not, whatever we want to call it.
All right. My stud this week, I'm going to go with Carson Gutler. He's a friend and teammate of my older boys, and I coached him in some sports over the years. Good kid. So he's run 5 features this year. He's won 3 of them, got 1 second and 1 fourth, including a convincing win Sunday at Proctor. So after not getting to race with all the rain that's been up here for the last couple of weeks, he had the convincing win this week. So Carson Gutler, congratulations. You're my stud of the week. I got a couple thoughts here. I said, well, first off, my dud is I'm going to go with Austin Carlson. Not a lot of racing for him lately, but his last 2 races were a 14th place DNF and a 7th place, both at Bemidji. After he had a couple of wins and a handful of podiums there, and he's kind of just not been getting in the races or having the luck the last couple of weeks. But I guess I wanted to give a shout out. I watched that Pure Stock feature up at Bemidji there or on Sunday there, and guy by the name of Cade Leaper, boy, Dustin Puffy got the lead, and you'd think when he gets the lead, it's over, right? But this guy ruffled his feathers and bumped into him a few times, just, nothing dirty, but just, run into the back bumper, turn him a little. And at the end, he just drove inside of him, gave him some right side romance and won it on the last lap. And it was a pretty impressive win. And from what I understand, what you were telling me, they were buddies. So it was a lot of fun to watch. So I just wanted to give him a shout out.
I wonder if they're talking yet, because they're buddies, but you and I are buddies too. And if I roughed you up out of the way, you'd be pissed off at me for a week, right? So it is what it is. So I'm sure they're just fine, right? They race hard, they compete at a high level. But yeah, that was a really good race there. I got a couple here as well. I want to give a shout out McKenna Folstead. She got her 3rd of the week last week up in Hibbing, in the Hornet division. Braxton Schmitz, 14-year-old, first career Hornet win over at the KRA Speedway this past week. But I think what I'm going to go with a Mod 4 driver, guys. I'm going to go with Ashton Schwinn. He had 4 straight DNFs. Should have been our dud here a couple weeks ago, but he had 4 straight DNFs, but rebounded with a pair of wins at Brainerd and Bemidji this past week, and is currently tied with the most wins in Wissota Mod 4 action at 9 with Dean Larson. So Ashton Schwinn finding himself right in the gut of it all for the national championship battle. Good luck to him the rest of the season. Now, as far as duds, I'm gonna go Eric Crosby. You know, he kind of put it out there, Facebook, everything. I'm going to race for a national championship. Well, guess what? He got 4 straight seconds. Okay. Almost winning is not winning. Okay. That's just not how it works. Almost win. If you ain't first, you're last. Okay. Now, if he continues this trend of just, I'm going to get second, I'm going to go ahead and buy him a bridesmaid's dress. I'm going to send it to him, and we're going to see if we can wear it, and we'll get him interviewed on the show. Get it together, guys. Second ain't going to get her done. All right. But the biggest, so 2 things on the Grassroots. So Lem, Mark Tremberth built a turbine chassis. He had a Facebook post out basically saying, I don't know what's going on with late model racing. We talk about it all the time. It's been kind of a choo-choo train. Hibbing late model racing has been awful. Late model, and he's like, the best racing going on right now is the Grassroots stuff. You mentioned it, Changa. That pure stock race in Bemidji was awesome, right?
Yep.
You know, so we lock that the Grassroots racing. If you're a race fan, you got to watch the Grassroots stuff because the racing is just more entertaining. It just is what it is. But holy shit, was there some drama, guys, at Rice Lake last week? Oh boy. Of course, it's the pure stocks. The Grassroots classes put on the best racing, almost always the most drama. So Eric Crosby almost got tore down. Okay. So opening night at the Rice Lake Speedway, driver by the name of Dustin Holdup, I believe is how you say his name, tore him down opening night at the Rice Lake Speedway, a couple months ago, right? Well, the Rice Lake Speedway essentially says, well, that's fine. We don't really want to tear people down on opening night, but it is what it is. Now, according to them, right, they said, we'll do the teardown, but you're coming in here, we're tearing your shit down too. And he says, no, you're not. Well, then the teardown ain't happening. And he was pissed, right? And he's like, well, I put the money up for a teardown. They should tear the car down. Well, the tracks have the latitude to do that. I've seen tracks do that before. Well, I don't know any of these people in question, but I've talked to a lot of different people, and he's, Changa, maybe a little bit like me, right? That sometimes we don't have a filter and we say what's on our mind to a fault, and we get our asses in trouble by arguing with people all the time, right? It doesn't usually work out, right? Well, he wanted to tear down Eric Crosby, but he was pretty well aware of the fact that they weren't going to have any of it. Do you tear him down? Your shit's coming in here. That's the way it was. So he gave money to another driver to tear down Eric Crosby this past week at Rice Lake. Okay, that driver goes out on the racetrack under his own power, right? Out there for the parade lap, breaks on the parade lap, pulls into the infield, never takes the green flag. Okay, so they get in after the races, and they're like, well, Crosby's getting tore down, right? No. Well, they basically said because he didn't take the green flag, null and void. Ain't gonna happen, right? Ain't gonna happen. Now, it's a slippery slope, right? Because I talked to several promoters, and half of them said if that driver went out on the track under their own power and intended to start the race, that means that they tried to start the race. The teardown should have happened. Other promoters are like, no, if he never even took the green flag, he didn't start the race, that teardown shouldn't happen because it says you must compete. I don't exactly remember the rules. Well, it looks like Wissota got wind of this, and they're going to change the rule next year and clarify that you must take a green flag. You must start the race in order to be able to tear somebody down. But now I saw some video clips, didn't see it wasn't the whole video. It was just an edited clip, right, of what we saw. And I talked to some people from both sides, but there was an altercation after the fact. A lot of he said, she said, officials basically saying, well, he was way out of hand and speeding through the pits, and the driver saying, well, no, the tech guy was yelling at me. Long story short, this Dustin Holdup got into it with the officials The officials contacted WISSOTA. Guys, he landed himself a 30-day WISSOTA suspension for a major unsportsmanlike conduct and a 1-year suspension from the Rice Lake Speedway. Put all the shit up for sale. He said he's done racing WISSOTA. He's pissed. I talked to so many different people on this deal that I get bits and pieces, so I'm not going to give really an opinion on it, because the only opinion is anytime you're arguing with officials, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. You're always going to lose. It just is what it is. And unfortunate situation. We don't want to see a guy that, is pretty competitive racer. Now he can't race anymore. That's not good for sponsors, fans, anybody. But interesting deal though. Basically, Bert, here's the deal. If you're the driver that's causing conflict, they're just not going to take you seriously. And he had to go to the lengths of paying somebody else to tear the guy down, because he knew for sure that if he put the money up, it either A, they weren't going to do it, or B, they were going to want to tear his stuff down. It wasn't going to happen. So bummer of a deal. Rice Lake Speedway, a lot of drama there in the pier stocks. So speaking of grassroots stuff, let's give a shout out. One of our grassroots guys here, East Central Sports. So East Central Sports in Rush City, Minnesota, just north of the Twin Cities, right off of I-35, your number one source for pit bikes, kids ATVs, golf carts, Toro lawnmowers, and a whole lot more. So get a hold of Mac and get your pit bike, get your golf cart, get whatever you need. You want to be able to move around the pits and not have to walk long distances. He's got what you need. Mention that you heard about him on the One to Go show for a $100 discount. You can call him at 320-358-1994 or check them out online at www.eastcentralsports.com. All right, guys, you ready for some national championship trivia here?
No, but
Sure.
we go with it.
All right, Chonga won last week. Bert had some really good clues. Tim McMahon was the answer last week, and Chonga got it all right before I did. Congratulations on that. I'm leading the way. I got 3. Chonga has 2. Bert has 1. So far, we've used Tim McMahon, Tyler Peterson, Troy Kuyoff, Adam Hensel, David Karst, and Mitch Johnson. Okay, my turn to give the clues. All right, here we go.
Street stocks?
Multiple classes. Okay. Multiple class national champion. This driver started racing in 1983. You do the math on that. Started racing in 83, was born December 9th, 1958. So what's that? 42, 52, 62, 66, 67, 66, 67 years old. Okay. So started racing in 83, born in 58. To this day, this driver still operates a business inside of the racing realm.
Gary Radetsky?
Nope.
Good guess.
That's a good guess. That's one. That's one check mark there.
How many check marks do I get?
3.
Okay.
Yeah, you guess 3 wrong guesses. The other person gets the win. Okay. A couple of the different car numbers, but maybe not all of them, that this driver raced. He raced number 9, raced number 11.
Kirk Gelling.
I don't think Kirk Gelling had a 9 or an 11. 18.
Oh, that was Arment.
That was
Yep.
Arment.
And he had a 9. Oh,
Yep.
it was a
Yep.
struggle.
This driver had 2 children that raced. One still races today on a limited basis. And slow down, Bert. You don't need to jump to it, right? We don't need to end this deal. I got some clues here, right?
I'll take a swing. How about Brian Strand?
No. Brian Strand has 2 championships, both in the modified division. This driver's last win was at the Fiesta City Speedway in Montevideo, Minnesota in 2023.
Oh, Jesus.
A couple years ago.
Hinkemeyer. Jeff Hinkemeyer.
First of all, Jeff Hinkemeyer never won a WISSOTA National Championship.
I
Second
don't
of all,
know.
he raced in a decade.
Well, yeah, you're probably a good point.
And he doesn't have any kids that raced.
Yeah, good point. All right, you got me. How many strikes I got? 15?
All right. Yep. All right. You got 2 and 2. So just let me read a couple clues here before you jump in. In 2008, after a racing event, this driver went to the hospital, got his appendix, gallbladder, and part of his intestine removed. Okay. In 2012, the intestinal illness may be
Pete
caused by
Parker.
this.
Pete Parker.
No.
Oh no!
That's 3 strikes. I win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2012, I'm going to keep reading a couple
Well,
clues
let's
here.
hear all of them now.
Yeah, in 2012, the intestinal illness made him quit racing, returned to racing in 2019 after about 7 years off.
Wow, this is tough.
Started racing in the WISSOTA in the late model division. Started racing in a late model. This driver won national championships in 3 different decades.
Oh my goodness gracious.
4-time national champion. 1 in the late models in 1989. 3 in the WISSOTA Championship Sprint Cars, 1992, 94, and 2005.
Yeah.
This driver had a vicious rollover at I-94 at the WISSOTA 100 in 2022, day 3, late model heat number 3. Vicious rollover down the back straightaway.
I think I know who it is, but I'm gonna hear all the clues.
Some of the tracks that this driver's won at: Fiesta City, Cedar Lake, Superior, Brainerd, Huset's, Jackson, Watertown, Miller, I-90, Black Hills and Rapid City, Knoxville, Fairmont, Jamestown, Deer Creek, I-80, Marshall County Speedway, and Warren. The racing business this driver has is he builds custom toters and trailers. Do you have another guess, Changa?
That all the clues?
It's all the clues.
I would go with Chuck Swenson.
There it is. Chuck Swenson, it is. The other number was X.
I would have never got it. I gotta start looking at the past champions so I know who.
He's a late model guy, so I made sure they got a late model guy in there. Number 11 when he won the Natty in the late model. His kid Blake Swenson races. Still to this day, number 10. So yeah, Chuck Swenson. So Changa tied me up 3-3. Bert, you're giving the clues next week. Congratulations. All right, 2025 pick'ems. Last week's winner, Bert, you and I led the way. 27 points. Changa and Governor Waltz had 26. So just when we thought we were going to get some separation, we did not. A couple outliers last week. I had Brandon Davis. He was good for me. Not many people had him. I think I was the only one that had Daryl Nelson at Hibbing. That worked out. Governor, he shined with the USAC picks. Our points right now, I'm at 345, leading the way, 11 points ahead of Bert, 14 points ahead of Changa. 4th is Dano, 1 point ahead of Coach. And Rainman at 6th. Going to come up with a new nickname because he's 41 points back right now. And then Governor right behind him. Uper, Workerbee, Tardy. Workerbee and Tardy are now tied. Man Bun Dan, Bromance, and Beefcake rounding out the field there. So upcoming events this week, guys. Of course, we're picking all the races here. Stock cars and modifieds at the Dakota Classic Mod Tour. Estevan last night. Williston tonight, Tuesday. Dickinson tomorrow. Mandan, North Dakota for the finale on Thursday. World of Outlaw late models. We're picking Friday, Saturday at Sharon Speedway in Hartford, Ohio. Lucas Oil dirt late models. 34 Raceway on Thursday. And then the 19th annual Diamond Nationals Friday and Saturday down at Wheatland. Final week, guys, of the Hell Tour this week. Shady Hill, we got Indiana, 2 races in Indiana, 2 races in Michigan, 2 races in Ohio to round out the Hell Tour. Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour, always one of the best races to watch. If you can't get to the Red Cedar Speedway Friday or Race Lake Saturday, check it out on Dirt Race Central. World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, Thursday at Deer Creek. Is this the first trip for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars to the Deer Creek Speedway?
That I could see. I only went back like 5 years, but I didn't see any in the last 5 years.
It might be. That might be a good race down there. And then they're heading up to Wilmot not too far from me, Friday, Saturday. High limit sprints at Florence. I believe that they rained out last year. I believe this is their first trip to Florence for the high limits. USAC National Midgets, 4 nights of them this week. We're picking the Slinger Nationals if they get it in. Andy Daly Memorial Superstocks shout out here to Mike Stearns. I know him and he has some other people probably helping putting together a memorial race for Andy Daly out in Aberdeen Friday and Saturday. The Timmy Imes, I believe it's Imes ALS Memorial Race for the Midwest Mods Friday at Fiesta City. Cedar Lake Speedway hosting the first 2 month of money races. $2,500 to win for the Midwest Mods and A Mods Saturday night at the Cedar Lake Speedway. And then Bert, next week, we got a big one coming up, right? Next week, we got the King of the Creek. But leading into that, we got the Prelude to the King. $2,000 to win for the IMCA stock cars at Luxie. I think, didn't they have like 55 cars there last week? They had a shit ton of stock cars.
Yeah, they had over 200 cars total. And yeah, I think stock cars, they had like 50 some.
Yeah, it's going to be bonkers. And then the Rallin Zeitner Memorial SLMR late models for $10,000 to win at Shelby County. That's on Saturday. So let's jump into our bold predictions. We got a few that came off the board. Make 3 predictions every week. Racing related, keeping track of correct and correct percentage. So Bert, you have 2 come off the board this week. Hell Tour. You said the high side hustler, Jason Fager, would have at least 3 podiums and at least 1 win. That happened. You got that one right. You also said between the Lucas Oil late model races and the World of Outlaw late model races this past weekend, there'd be no repeat winners. Also correct. It was Sheppy and Huddy and Lucas, Pierce and Hoffman in World of Outlaws. Bert, 2 for 2.
Plus, I get the point from the previous week, right?
You did. Yep. You already had that. And he picked
Okay.
that. He did. He did. He did. All right. Changa, you had 1 come off the board. You said the 7A of Shane Sabraski would win 25% or more of his features. That did not happen. Did not happen. Huh?
That did happen. He won 3 out of 12. That's 25% last time I checked.
Well, then, are you sure? Because I think then Uper's pencil fucking you again because he had no.
Pretty sure you want to check that. Hey, I could be lying to you, and you don't have to do it right now.
No, I'm doing it right now. Take 2 seconds here. We got technology, Changa. We can figure this out. We're gonna find out if you're full of shit or if Uper's full of shit here.
I didn't even look. I was so confident he won 3, but I've lied to you before.
So starting on July 1st.
Starting in Hibbing.
Yeah, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 races. And he won 3.
Hey!
Yeah. All right. So Donkey Award to Uper. Not for 1 reason, not for 2 reasons, but for 3 reasons. Okay. 1, try pencil fucking Bert, try pencil fucking Changa. And then, right? And then, so he sends me the text messages with his predictions. One of his predictions last week, so Changa get that one correct. So gonna have to do a little math on this one here and change up. You're gonna be at 13 and 21. So your percentage is gonna change.
All right. I was at 13 last week.
No.
You fucking me now?
No, I'll send you the picture of what he sent. So you know, yeah, 12.
Oh, that's 13 last week.
12. I'll look. 12. So Uper, one of his predictions last week was the B1 Bomber, right? Between the 3 World of Outlaw drivers from Minnesota, Brent Larson will have the best average finish. So then he sends he sends it over, and he basically sends over all the stats and all that for the week. And he changes the wording to the B1 will have a better average finish than Sorensen and Jake Tim combined. Where the fuck did the word combined come from? So a few weeks back, remember, I'm like, oh, Jeff, he's an ethical guy. He's not like you, Changa. He's not trying to he's not trying to skirt the system. He literally sends me a text with one thing and then changes it in his favor so he can get the prediction right. I'm like, what are we doing here? Right? What are we doing? So B1 Bomber did not have the best average. Jake Tim did. So he got that one wrong. Okay. 7A did not win 30%. He also added to it that 7A would win at least one in each of the three classes. He did not win one in the late model. So you got that incorrect. He did, however, get this one correct, that in the world of outlaw late models, the combination of Ryan Gustin and Drake Troutman would have a better average finish than Hoffman and Pierce. And Pierce's rollover, of course, made that happen. I didn't have any come off the board because of rain, but I had one here that's going to be tight. I said, and you kind of rolled me into this one, and I think you probably are going to screw me on this one. Because remember I changed it last week that in IMCA stock cars and mods, there will be at least 12 states represented in each. I changed it to that because you weren't happy. Well, there was like 14 or 15 in the mods, and at last count, there's 11 in the stock cars.
Oh, shit.
With 2 races to go. So I'm in danger zone. We need somebody here maybe to travel from out of a different state to get to
Just random one race.
Yeah, we need one more race out of them. So correct predictions, Chonga will be at 13 now, not at 12.
I think it's 14.
Do some math for me really quick. 13 divided by 34. 13 divided by 34. So Chonga's at 13, Uper's at 11, Bert and I at 10. Now, depending on how the math works out, I believe I'm leading the way on percentage.
38.2%.
38.2. Yep, I'm leading the way on percentage with 40. Chonga's at 38.2, Bert's at 34.5, and Uper's at 31.4.
So I only had one come off the board this week?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
All right.
Yep, only one. All right, so let's do it. Let's make our 3 bold predictions to close this baby out here. And we'll go Bert, you're 3, we'll go Chonga. I got Upers, and then we'll go mine to finish this thing out.
All right, I'm gonna go Hell Tour, and of all, if however many races they race, depending on weather, Turbo or Jason Feger will win all of the remaining Hell Tour features.
Counting tonight, counting Tuesday.
Yes, counting Tuesday. I have no idea who.
They both DNF their heat. Zach Mitchell's on the pole.
That's a lie.
I haven't looked at nothing yet. All right, so all of the remaining Hell Tour races will be won by either Fager or Turbo. Okay.
Oh, smokes.
Chonga.
Well, 2, 3. I was gonna go Hell Tour 2, but I might save that. God, so I'm gonna preface this by saying I did not even put anything together. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go to the Dakota Mod Tour. So now they count points for all 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 nights, right?
Yeah. Well, 5, 1 right now.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna go. Well, I'm not even gonna go with the points because that's too easy right now. I'm gonna go with there will be 0 multiple winners in the stock cars this week. So meaning nobody wins more than 1 in the stock car division of the Dakota.
So last night was Heupel won last night, and then so you got between the 4 nights. So nobody will win more than 1 IMCA stock car race this week at the Dakota Mod Tour. Okay. All right, Uper's first one. He's gonna go Hell Tour. He's gonna say this: Turbo Tyler Erb will win the week 5 points, and along with it, the overall Hell Tour championship. He's got some work to do because Fager's got a little bit of a lead. He's going to need some bad luck from Fager to jump ahead of him. So he's going to win week 5 and the points. So I think Fager's leading that deal right now, I believe, isn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. All right, my first one. I'm going to roll back to my stud of the week in the late models. Littlehammer, Cade Nelson will win at least one WISSOTA late model A main in 2025.
Wow. Okay. Love it.
Yep, Cade Nelson going to get a win. He's going to find victory lane. Off the record, I think
Proctor.
it's going to be Proctor. Off the record, I think it's going to be Proctor. Yep. So Cade Nelson at least one WISSOTA late model win.
He in Living tonight?
No. Bert?
I'll go Dakota Mod Tour and say Brandon Schmidt, who is from Wisconsin, will win at least one feature this week. He's racing both a mod and a stock car, so it can be either division.
Brandon Schmidt will find victory lane at the Dakota Mod Tour in one of the two, or both. At least one. Okay. Changa.
I'm going to go to the Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour. And I'm going to say that Kyle Dykoff, your point leader, has won almost all the races, will not win either race this week.
Okay. Kyle Dykoff winless this week on the DRC Street Stock Tour. All right. Uper is going to go Dirt Vision versus Flow. Okay. Now, of course, Dirt Vision would be World of Outlaws, right? Flow would be High Limits, Lucas Oil. So the combination of Bobby Pierce and David Gravel will have a better average combined finishes. They got both of them have 5 races. Everybody in this has 5 races scheduled this week. Okay. Pierce and Gravel will have better average combined finishes and more podiums than Aaron Reisel, Changa's boy, and RTJ. So Pierce and Gravel better average.
I thought he was gone.
Huh?
I thought Aaron Reitzel was no more. I thought he was gone.
Oh, he's remains my ongoing stud for sure.
When you come here, I want you to buy that shirt. When you come here, I'm throwing you in the fire pit with it.
He's my boy. He's my boy. All right, I'm gonna go Andy Daly Memorial out at the Brown County Speedway in Aberdeen. Really good money on the line for the super stocks out there this week. 6 podium drivers over the 2 nights. Mostly going to be South Dakota cars there. There will be at least 2 podiums by Minnesota drivers. At least 2 podiums over the 2 nights by Minnesota drivers.
Trevor Nelson from Minnesota.
As of right now, I only know of one going. Jordan Hinkemeyer.
Is Trevor Nelson not Minnesota?
Trevor Nelson's lives out by Aberdeen.
I thought his address was Minnesota now.
No.
You might want to look that up.
Well, if it does, that would be fantastic. I
don't think that's bullshit then.
No, Trevor Nelson lives in South Dakota. He lives out by Aberdeen. So, yep. So Andy Daly Memorial, at least 2 podium drivers Friday, Saturday from Minnesota in the super stock division.
Off the record, it's going to be Jordo both nights then?
I think Jordo's going to get one. I think my boy Tristan LaBarge is going to go up there on Saturday and get a podium on Saturday. I think you could see 2 of the 3 on Saturday being Hinkemeyer and LaBarge for the big money. So that's my second one. Bert, your third and final prediction.
I'm gonna go Prelude to the King at Luxie Raceway and say there will be at least 60 IMCA stock cars at that show.
They have 55 on a.
Didn't they have 82 last? Which race at Luxie?
Luxembourg, not the 10,000 one at 141.
This is 60. Wow, that for $2,000 to win, that would be Stellar. So at least 60 stock cars on Sunday at Luxie. Okay. All right, Chonga.
I'm gonna go high limits sprint cars. And I'm gonna say Brad Sweet will podium every race they have this weekend and retake the high limit point lead.
Brad Sweet gonna podium every finish and retake the point lead. Who's leading right now?
The guy that died.
I couldn't remember.
I
Bert,
can't remember his
is it
name.
Aaron? How do you say that, Bert? Aaron.
Right,
It's
so?
Chonga's boy. He should know how to say it. Reitzel. That's what it is. Aaron Reitzel. Yeah. All right. Uper's third one here. How are things going at Slinger, Bert? Are they back under green or are they still in rain delay?
They have trucks on the track trying to dry it.
Okay. A non-cheesehead will win the Slinger Nationals. Now, for reference, there's 32 entries, I believe, and 8 non-cheeseheads. So, Ty Majeski, is he considered a Wisconsin driver still?
He
Think
should
so.
be.
Yeah.
He claims Seymour as his hometown.
Okay. I think he might be not real happy with this. So a non-cheesehead will win the Slinger Nationals, and 32 entries, 8 of them are
Hey
not
Bert,
Wisconsin.
what's the positions under the rain delay? Who's in what place?
They don't have that on the screen.
All right.
Well, one thing too with Ty Majeski, remember he got in trouble because he didn't go to the photo op for the championship thing in NASCAR because he had
Yep.
to go vote in Wisconsin. So he's
Oh,
a
yeah.
cheesehead.
He is a cheesehead. All right. I'm going to take my third and final prediction. I'm going to go Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour as well. Team Wisconsin going to win both nights. And at most, one Minnesota driver on the podium over the 2 nights. One Minnesota podium.
There's only one Minnesota driver going to be there.
0 or 1. Well, you got Dyke. I mean, Dykoff's the favorite, right? I mean, he's the point leader, and I'm sure I'm guessing Riley's going to be there. So I don't know, maybe Brower, but at most one Minnesota driver on the podium. Wisconsin drivers win both. That goes right along with Dykoff not going to win. Neither is any other Minnesota driver or any other state. So
you're negative.
Wisconsin wins both. Off the record,
you need to change that up.
I'm going to say who I picked, right? I got Cody Coomer night 1. I got Nick Trainer night 2. Levi Rant could be a stud in this deal too. He's been really, really good. Bert, who did you pick? Did you pick Dykoff?
This is Street Stock.
Yeah.
I picked Nick Trainer for Red Cedar and Dykoff for Rice Lake.
Okay. Did you see who Tardy picked?
I saw your text.
Ty Agan. Attaboy, Tardy. Attaboy. All right. So, as always fun chatting racing with you guys. A lot going on. In the background, there are B-mains on the track right now for modifieds out at the Dakota Classic Mod Tour. I'm probably going to jump on the Hibbing here in a minute and see where they're at. So, Bert, keep us informed on Slinger. Let us know what happened. Chonga, what are you watching?
Did either of you? Well, I've got my computer is just like it's decided it doesn't want to work here next to me, but I was trying to watch the mod tour and I was trying to watch some USAC stuff and my computer just doesn't want to work out here. I'm in the garage this week and but I was just gonna wonder, did you guys even want to touch on anything out of that debacle in Victory Lane at Duck River with both Turbo and Lucas Lee?
I think there might be some medical issues there. So let's just Duck River's the track that basically told the Frisky Motorsports team that they couldn't have the silhouettes of naked chicks or whatever on their car. So they were really, really upset when there was a massive amount of swearing in Victory Lane from Turbo and of course from Lucas Lee. And I don't know Lucas Lee's ordeal, if he's got some medical issues going on or if he's on drugs or what, but he was off the reservation. It was a bad deal. So yeah, you can find that on Facebook too.
And then Turbo, his inability to, figure out basic math or a calculator or anything, shouting obscenities in victory lane, can't.
Did you see that, Bert? He was mad. He said he got
I
screwed out of. He basically said he got fucked out of $10,000, is what he said, because he thought he was only X amount of points out of first or whatever. And he thought he should have won the week or whatever. And Jason Fager's like, I kind of knew what the math was and where I needed to finish. Like, Turbo's just not very good at adding. Really, what it comes down to. So yeah, it was something, but
So,
yeah, lot of racing to be had.
I got one more thing for you, Bert. Did you see down at Benton Speedway, Billy Moyer Jr. was in a car for the first time in a couple of years?
I did see that.
Won a heat, and he was battling for the lead there. He ended up like 14th, but he was like, my God, I'm way bigger than my dad, and my arms don't fit in this seat. He goes, once I had to go to the top and actually steer that thing, I was in big trouble because my arms are banging off of things. But yeah, it was good to see him back in a race car and looked pretty good, actually.
He was fast as hell in the heat race. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and I can relate. I got an Eric Anderson's car. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this ain't built for a fat kid. I mean, I think all that needs to happen is we need to refit myself, get a different seat. I need to get back in that thing, give it another try. But
I agree.
We'll see what happens. So, all right, guys, always fun chatting with you. Let's just jump off here. We'll watch some racing. As always, I'm Ryan. That's Changa. Or we can call him Two Dogs, whatever we're going to call him. And we got Bert here. Thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.
New nickname. Curtis' new nickname.